Hello, this is Rachida Dux for another video, and today we're doing la crème pâtissière or the pastry cream. And that cream, most of the time I use it for the millefeuille, which is I'm going to show you in another video. The pastry cream is basically whole milk, egg yolk, vanilla beans. I use the vanilla beans instead of the liquid one, and then a little bit flour and a little bit of butter. And my version is really the classical one, and it's very silky because I use all-purpose flour and the cornstarch, because that combination gives you a nice clean taste. Normally when I make any cream, I freeze it until I'm ready to assemble the cake. But for la crème pâtissière, I'm not going to freeze it, but I did, because normally the pastry cream does not survive the freezing process. But for some reason, when I froze it for a few days, it was fine and it turned out fine. So I will recommend to not freeze it, but if you have to, go ahead and freeze it. So let me show you how it's done. For this recipe, the vanilla is very important. So we're going to pick up some vanilla beans. We're going to split it in half and scrape these beautiful seeds using a knife. Then we're going to add it to the whole milk. We place the pot with the milk and vanilla on the stove, and we're going to heat it up until it starts boiling. The moment it starts boiling, we have to get it off the heat and let it rest for a few minutes, even for a few hours, to get this flavor of the vanilla in the milk. To help the cream to get firm, I'm using gelatine. Here I'm going to soak the gelatin sheets in icy cold water for a few minutes until they get soft. Please feel free to use powder gelatin if you can't find the one I'm using. Now we're ready to crack our eggs to get the egg yolk. Normally I separate them. Right now I don't need to use the egg white, so I'm going to store them in a silicone container. It's an ice cube container with small cavity, so I can freeze small tiny cubes. And you know that every egg can be between 30 grams to 60 grams. We call them here in the States small, large, medium, extra large, jumbo. So instead of using those sizes, normally professionally we weigh the eggs. So we're going to weigh the egg yolks, and we're going to freeze the egg white for another project. In a large bowl, add the egg yolk, then add the salt. Then we're going to add the sugar slowly. We're going to mix the sugar with the egg yolk until it's smooth. I'm using organic raw sugar, that way it looks a little bit brown. It's not brown sugar, it's just regular sugar. Then we're going to add the cornstarch and the flour, and we're going to mix until there is no lumps. Using a clean another saucepan, place it over the stove, medium heat, then pour the milk vanilla mixture over it. Make sure you grab all those seeds. We're going to remove the vanilla beans or the vanilla pods. By the way, you can clean them using just cold water and use it in another recipe. So we're going to simmer this milk for a few minutes until we get to the boiling, close to the boiling point. Then we're going to add the egg mixture. Here you really don't want to go away from the stove. You really have to be there for a few minutes because we're going to keep stirring using a spatula or a whisk. Actually, it's better to use a whisk. And then keep whisking until the whole mixture gets thick. It's going to take a few minutes, so be patient. It is very important to keep stirring because we don't want the cream to be stuck to the bottom of the pan, and we don't want any burning neither. And also we're going to keep stirring until it's really thick. That means the flours are cooked, so you are not going to taste any kind of flour in your cream. Once it's done, you take off the pan off the heat, then you add cold small pieces of butter. Keep stirring until the whole butter is melted. Then try to grab the gelatin sheets. They're completely soft now, and squeeze the excess water from them. You really don't want to have any water added to your cream. Then add it to the cream. Then keep stirring until completely blended. While the cream is still warm, we're going to strain it in a large strainer to make sure it's silky, there is no lumps, and it's absolutely perfect. Don't worry if the cream looks too liquid, it's running, because it's still warm, it has to sit. So we're going to place it in the bowl, then we're going to cover it with a piece of plastic to prevent the cream of creating that layer of film, which is kind of a little bit nasty. And then we're going to cover it with a lid, and we place the whole thing in the refrigerator for overnight, few hours, and then you're done. Congratulations. The next day, you get the cream out of the refrigerator, and you can see it's really creamy. It's no longer liquid. But before using it, when you're ready to use it, put it in a mixer and whisk it very well. Then use it in your cake or any project you like to use it. So now we're done. I hope you like this video, and I hope you subscribe so you get notified for the next videos, because after this video I'm going to show you how to make millefeuille. So see you soon. Thank you. See you soon.